All right, so welcome to another video. Today we're going to take a look at retail sales. We're going to take a look at what's going on with some of these stocks, how they're performing and doing, and just some of the recent updates with them. Ultimately, what's going on is the quarters and earnings have been released. The stocks actually are doing not too bad on their own. From a stock price perspective, they are actually trending a little bit higher right now. So if we take a look at like Macy's here, there we go, pull up Macy's, and we look at the stock chart. If you take a look at what's going on right now on the today basis, the stock on Macy's actually is higher. So that is actually good news here. If you look at Kohl's as well, KSS, this one also, you can see it's pressing a little bit higher, but it did sink a little bit. So when we start looking at it, pulled back, now it's back. So it's kind of just moving sideways as you look at the trend and chart. But we're going to evaluate this in a little bit. Anyway, looking at just overall the earnings reports, because this is what happened recently, is that the earnings reports just came out. We've already had Target and Walmart. Looking back at Walmart, basically, Walmart did pretty decent and pressed a little bit higher. Now, part of that's that they have a buyback and some other benefits behind Walmart, because it's not just like a clothing retailer. It's got a lot of other food things that people come into. And then with the economy, with the food inflation, people were coming in more into the stores there for Walmart to get some cheaper or better deals. But as we take a look at kind of right now at Macy's and Kohl's, what happened here is kind of interesting. In the market, they compare quarter over quarter. So what that really means is they're looking at the same quarter last year. So if I look at, let's say, December or holiday season, I have to compare to last year, December, because summer months are going to act different for the season, because some people like their presents. Let's say you're going into Best Buy. Well, maybe you only go to Best Buy because of for tech things, for the holidays, for Christmas. So all of a sudden, your different purchaser is seasonality, and that's the seasonality effect that happens. So anyways, they're comparing quarter to quarter of the previous year. So you compare quarter one to quarter one of the last year, quarter two of this year to quarter two of the last year. So when we look at what's been going on here, Macy's sales dropped 3.1% last quarter. So zoom in for you. So sales dropped 3.1% last quarter from a year ago, while Kohl's tanked 6.9%, withdrew its financial guidance, significant macroeconomic headwinds. So, and also the CEO is leaving. So when we look at here, the CEO of the of Kohl's here, she's also leaving and getting the heck out of there. Let me see if we're looking at, here it is. The one I got, Kohl's CEO leaves for Levi's. So this lady over here, I think she used to do, what they say, Starbucks over there as well. So she's heading out. See you later, going into Levi's, and going to be trying to do some work there. So they don't like that. And usually when you see a big person leave, that's often not the best sign. So I think this stock could be in a little bit more trouble later. But sometimes it could be a personal reason. So you never really know what the reasoning is, but usually management can see certain things. It's not an easy work environment, in other words, is one of the things, or Levi just made a better deal. Anyway, if we take a look at just other things like Target had sales warnings. So retail overall has been into some trouble. Here's kind of my list of stocks in the retail sector. If we look at just recent change, let's just sort by most recent change here of percentage gains. Macy's actually is doing pretty well, 13% up today, and Chico's here is up 2.47, Gap up 3, and Express up 4, and then a lot of the other ones are kind of down. So Nike, Zumiez, Lulu, Guess, TJX, they're down and struggling a little bit. If we look at just the charts of what's going on, so let's take a look at some of these. So I'm going to go ahead and look at it on a weekly basis for you. So just like many other companies, we struggled, throughout this year. So here is 2021, and then 2022, we've been kind of nosediving. So when you look at Kohl's, you have a resistance here at around $64, and then that stock tanks. So we were going sideways for a little while. And I think now you're kind of coming into maybe a support level in this zone, where that stock could base a little bit and possibly have some higher moves later. I mean, you were at this upper end for 2021 and part of 2022, and then 2022 just kind of nosedive here. If we look at Macy's here, and we look at kind of the weekly again, I'm looking at weekly for longer term trend. This stock wasn't that pricey or that expensive overall, but at $28, and now you're kind of coming back into some of these moving averages. So if we look at the daily here, it does look nice. The movement looks pretty good, and the volume is picking up some speed. Okay, you're also breaking this price zone right here. Okay, so that is about $22. So as it breaks this line of resistance, that could also press the stock higher. So when we're looking at something like this, you've got some critical points right here. There's a gap in that zone, and then you've got some areas here. So if we can continue here and pull back maybe, that could be a nice possibility for some higher prices. So ultimately what we want to watch is see if we go like this and maybe go higher. So that's kind of Macy's. If we look at Best Buy, this one's still struggling. I like to look at this one on a weekly right now, just because it's, we were right around here, around 125 in this zone. Okay. We struggled over here, moving sideways, pulled back, and now we're kind of hanging in this area. So support's right around 60, and you can see that with some of these numbers. You're right around that 60 zone. So could it press a little higher? Sure, it could. But again, we'll see what happens. I think it is set up fairly nicely. You've got right here, earnings and revenue coming here on Best Buy. I also have it here on BBY, so that'll be on 11/22, so that's coming out very soon. Okay, so 22 November. Okay, something to watch. You've got Target that we looked at a while back. You could see here, this one, we just sank and had some trouble with this one on the earnings report. So it went higher into it, thinking, hey, it'll be good as Walmart, but then it sold off, and definitely it was not as good. But we do have some support around 145 in this case here. So that seems to be maybe a place to hold. Ross Stores is another one to kind of watch. This one is coming out with earnings on the 17th, so that'll be right after the bell here today, I think. Yeah, after the bell. And then we'll see how that progresses. So watch that one. And then TJX for TJ Maxx. Then you can see this is pressing higher there as well, and it already reported, so surprise beat, and it's probably one of the reasons why it's doing okay right now. Let's look at the weekly on this one, and you can see the discount retailers are doing fairly well. So looking at the future, okay, so look at this nice breakout. So it looks pretty good. So looking at this in the future, my guess and estimate of what's going to do well, if we really are thinking about it, is probably going to be more like the discount retailers. So just like stuff like Walmart here did well, a discounted one, but Target did not. I'm thinking things more along these lines is really what we're looking for. So if we're looking at retailers, even though Macy's is up today, you can see it's up quite a bit. I'd be more leaning into more things like, who knows, a Gap, a Ross Stores, Burlington Coat Factory, those kinds of things. Less so much on the premium stuff like a Lulu. Even maybe TJ Maxx might be a better bet, even though it's down today right now. I'd look more to those kinds of things because I'm thinking people are going to go into that. Unless, of course, they're looking to really just spend more money and capital on, let's just say, holiday retail, maybe like a Best Buy or gifts on Bed Bath & Beyond, who knows. But that'll be more like in the e-commerce segment here. So if I take a look at the e-com, I've got Overstock.com, maybe Wayfair, but again, that's a little more home related. So Shopify is more in the business sector, so I don't see it as much. If we're talking more retail stocks, let's go back here. Here's the Best Buy right there, up a little bit today. Target up a little bit. Costco, maybe that's a little bit more. Costco could be a good place to stock up on stuff. So those would be kind of my thinkings, is that a little bit more on the discount side is what I would look for. Is the discount areas would probably do a lot better. So for example, you can see it more like a TJ Maxx here, simply because consumers are watching what they're spending. Look at Walmart right here, also doing fairly well. If you look at the daily here, pressed well and still holding. So all of that looks pretty good. So anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for joining me. Truly appreciate it. Feel free to check out our website, criticalcharts.com, or if you're into trading options, tradersfly.com, and continue to learn, educate yourself. And I will see you in the next video update. Take care.